Thank you, Peter. So, Ben Grinnell is one of the very few people who has attended every one of the 14 DevOps Enterprise Summits we've held since 2014. He was one of the founders of Highland, a consulting firm they created 17 years ago, a change and transformation consultancy focusing on growing client capabilities around the world with 50 offices and 3,500 consultants. I am so grateful that he has been a programming committee member since 2016, so he's been helping shape the programming that you've been seeing for years. Like all programming committee members, he brings his own problems to the agenda, things he wants to learn, experts he wants to see. And he brought up something earlier this year that definitely caught my attention. He pointed out that we have a deliberate but explicit bias against outsourcers, favoring instead organizations that have insourced their engineering talent. But we know that this is not necessarily a prerequisite to get great engineering and business outcomes. After all, we've had many stories which feature outsourcers. And he had a fantastic call to action and a direction of programming that we seek to further explore, which is what do outsourcers and their clients need to do in order to get the outcomes that we all want. Here's Ben.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming. I just want to talk about my journey here. My journey, just a brief introduction, started when I flew over to San Francisco for the inaugural DevOps Summit in 2014. And I quickly realized what Gene was trying to do for this community was something really special. And having spent 15 years at that point working with CIOs, being a CIO, and working with other IT leaders to improve the perception of their functions in the wider business, I knew how much it was needed. I remember telling Gene back then that we have to do something like this in London, and I've helped with the programming since the inaugural London event in 2016. Since then, I've been to every event, so this is my 15th DevOps Enterprise Summit. I'm learning more every time and having more stories to share with the skeptics, those people trying to convince the skeptics, or those who just need a confidence boost to stick their neck out and try something new in their organization. So I love what this community has been doing and what it's achieved through sharing and learning and how many people we've helped. And I hope everything the IT Revolution team has done with the video library, with GatherTown, and with the focus on building this exothermic community will help all of us do that more easily and effectively going forward. So today, I want to start a conversation about the sourcing of the IT workforce. It's something I'm asked about a lot, and I don't have the answer. Most IT leaders pursuing a DevOps transformation are trying to change the sourcing mix of their IT workforce in some way, but many don't know what their strategy should be. Through this community, we want to improve the lives of people working in IT. The idea for this talk came about as I was looking at the programming, and I felt that the millions of people working in IT for global system integrators in outsourced IT environments and those working with them are underrepresented, and we don't have enough stories to support them. So I originally started focusing on sourcing when I started working for the UK government, and I became the IT director for the border agency in the Home Office. That was 15 years ago in 2007, and I spent 3 years in that position. And I quickly found that we'd outsourced all of our operations to Fujitsu. Our default development contract was with Atos Origin, and then every major program was delivered by a different one of the big consultancies. We had virtually no in-house capability. There was nothing in this model that incentivized the suppliers to make each other look good. In fact, quite the opposite. They were always competing. So sharing, enabling, trust, collaboration were in short supply in this ecosystem. All the things we talk about in this community were almost impossible to implement. Now, the last 15 years have seen a huge amount of progress, particularly in government. GDS was born in 2011, Government Digital Services that is, and the drive to break up the monolithic contracts for IT services began. And it's still going on. But today, many of the bigger departments have a much wider range of IT suppliers. Most of them have more in-house capability than they had back then. And some of them have thriving academy programs where they're growing their own talent. And the same can be said for the private sector over that period. It's undergone a similar transformation. Now, every enterprise I speak to is trying to grow their internal IT capability. Is that the same for everyone? If you're working for a large enterprise, let us know in Slack if that's the case in your firm. I'll just pause for a minute so we can have a look. So I guess that shouldn't be a surprise. The total IT capability they need is ever increasing. As Mark Anderson said, software is eating the world. And an increasing number of firms are realizing that, like it or not, they're in the IT business. Business agility is fundamental to survival. First mover advantage has been surpassed by fastest mover advantage. Businesses need to be built to change rather than built to last. Changing anything in a large business requires technology change. So business survival is dependent on the ability to deliver technology change fast and reliably. And that's why we're all here, right? So the challenge that many of my clients present to me is this one. Do I have to insource to accelerate my DevOps goals? There's a lot of evidence that you can hear when you look through the past conferences that suggests the answer might be yes. The project to product transformation paper that is about 100 pages, it came out of the DevOps Forum in 2019, studied 14 enterprise journeys. And some of the findings are shown here. Most of the companies they studied went from 70% outsourced to 30% outsourced over the course of a number of years of that journey. So a lot of the stories at these conferences are about organizations that have had success by building in-house capability. This year, we've got two great talks from TCS, a fantastic story about their internal CEO-driven transformation to Agile, and another about their DevSecOps framework for evaluating their engagements with their